All right, here we go. Rolling into episode 9 of the High Octane Dads podcast. You ready to get started, Chris?
Yeah, let's get started.
All right, let's do it. Today, I think we're going to talk about different automotive influencers and kind of how social media has changed the car world and racing. Some
Right.
folks that have gotten YouTube famous, and we talk about how YouTube content sort of changing how we take in automotive content and how it's different from the TV networks, and then we'll finish up talking about our driving songs that we started on last week. Sound good?
Yeah, that's good.
Awesome. So yeah, automotive influencers. All right, so automotive influencers. So who are some of the big ones you follow, and what you got on this topic?
The big ones, I guess, Cletus. Most people follow him. I'm horrible with names. There's a guy I follow from Chicago.
Steve, the warden.
Yeah, no, well, I follow him too. But no, this one is shit, I'm gonna have to look it up. Sorry, dude. But that's how it goes sometimes. My brain's fried. Legit street cars. He's pretty cool. He does a lot of like really in-depth, kind of type repairs, but he works on a lot of like Mercedes, or he'll buy a bunch of cars that are like auction cars and kind of fix them up. And I think I fell into his channel watching a lot of those ones where they buy, wrecks and completely pull them and like make brand new looking cars out of them.
Yeah.
You just kind of fall in that rabbit hole. But and I found a lot of really, good stuff like that, that way. And it's pretty wild. I mean, like we were talking a little bit earlier, the off camera, that 15 years ago or so, I don't remember exactly when YouTube came out, but I remember I'd get off work, I worked second shift, and I'd, come home and I lived with my mom, and I'd pull out my laptop, get on there with our DSL internet,
And you're gonna tell me the
pull
first
up
place
you.
you went was YouTube?
I probably
Maybe the
nothing
second.
bad. Yeah, at this point, nothing like that, but not all the time. But no, I'd get on YouTube and I remember like looking up like car videos and like because like certain vehicles I want or whatever. It was usually like back then it wasn't all these influencers, and
Mm-hmm.
it was just like how a lot of them are, started just posting videos of random shit.
Mm-hmm.
Driving your car around or doing burnouts and exhaust clips and whatever. And that's a lot of my personal YouTube pages. But I mean, and then for like, we talked a little bit about it before. To me, it was just kind of like a catch-all for all my videos, and you can easily send them to people. But now it's pretty wild what it's grown into, where people have found ways to create whole businesses and around just them making videos of themselves doing shit, especially with cars, which makes it great. And it's become a whole new thing where, there's a lot that stem from it. I know that, a lot of drag racing in a lot of areas, or even any racetrack, the attendance has gone way down. But like a lot of these people, these big influencers that go to these events have started, bringing some people back and some money back to some of these tracks, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
And I mean, we talked about it some too, but I honestly think that because I don't pay for like any of the YouTube premium or anything, but I get a lot more content of all sorts of stuff that I want to watch through YouTube anymore versus anything else. I'll just go in there and like I look up mini bike stuff. I got people that do, mini bikes and go-karts that I'm into, and I watch some gaming videos, um, different, car YouTubers. I mean, it's pretty wild. I mean, you find a channel for everything,
Right.
and it's pretty crazy how it's evolved into that.
Yeah, and talking about influencers and seeing people that have really, blown up on YouTube, right? Like everybody knows Cletus, and I think Cletus deserves everything he's got. He loves what he does, and that was evident in the videos that he made, and people related to that, right? He was a guy that
Mhm.
likes cars, and he got out there, and it wasn't obviously, YouTube became a means to an end to get all the other stuff that he's doing now. I think he's flying helicopters. The last video I seen of his, because I will say again, everybody can come after me. I'm the world's worst about not keeping up with like YouTube things and watching like the latest stuff if there's a lot of them, right? But the last one I seen, he was like he attended a thing about how to like get out of a helicopter should you have a water landing, and it like flipped over, and I was like, that's pretty intense. That's
Yeah.
that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But like I remember back before I started my LS swap, like I've had a ton of help from all the guys in Mullet Militia. I mean, you know, Matt, Steve, Kevin, you. I'm forgetting somebody, and forgive me if I am, but what really got me started to go like a guy like me could get out there and just figure this out. And I don't know if you've ever heard of them. I'm sure a lot in our crowd haven't, but Mighty Car Mods,
Oh yeah.
those guys are great. And again, they're guys that just like getting out and messing with cars. And
Yeah.
now they've been all over the world. I've got a poster in the garage of the car they got when they were like in Japan or something. They released like a special edition poster and signed it, and I bought one of those posters, and it's super cool to kind of watch where they came from doing random stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes quality mods, sometimes dumb
Yeah.
stuff in their
Junk stuff.
driveway, and watching the stuff that they've built, and it kind of made me go, I think I could do it, and got out there and really started cranking on getting my car done, and just kind of gave me that confidence, and so those guys will always be a channel that I do like to follow, and of course Cletus, and in our third gen world, LSX Matt, he's got the blue
Yeah.
IROC. He's got some great videos out there.
Yeah.
Followed him for a while, but there's some that are just. I think there's a lot of these influencers, and then there's a lot that you don't know how much they're really interested in the cars versus just that they have the following.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
and I think it
Well,
shows.
and another big pair, Freiberger and Finnegan.
Oh
You
man,
know, yeah. I mean, Roadkill started on YouTube, and my good friend Michael was like, yeah, do you watch Roadkill? I'm like, okay, yeah. He's like, they got that YouTube. I'm like, I don't know. Well, then like he kept telling me about it, and at this point they were like a handful of episodes in. I just remember I was like, all right, I started watching them, and then I'm like, oh my god, this is great. When they did that LS swap in the Crusher Camaro for the first time, and then like drove it home and the snow and all that, and I was like, man, I am invested in this show.
yeah,
And then they paired up with was it Discovery, and then they had the whole app, and they're doing all sorts of things on their own now. I mean, it's pretty wild. I mean, given those guys worked in the industry as far as with the magazine, but I mean, they still did a lot of stuff that was just like throwing junk together and just get, like what Freiberger said, don't get it right, just get it running.
yeah.
Or
That is
somebody
a
said
that is a mantra that I try to live by, and then I end up overthinking it, and
that. Yeah.
doing too much. But yeah, no, I definitely those guys are great, and that sort of reminded me too of these guys really remind me a lot, even of the reason that I like. I talked about it last time, the British Top Gear, right? Like
Yeah.
they have a chemistry together when they're working on the
Oh,
cars, when they're dragging them out of the junkyard, whatever it is they're doing. Again, they have a love of the cars, and then they also work really well together, and can crack jokes, and it just feels really organic. It doesn't feel scripted or forced, and that's sort of
yeah.
what I like about them
And
for
and
sure.
and I think Steve really came in there, and at first I'm like, "All right, who's this goofball?" But then after a while I'm like, "Yeah, it's nothing without him."
Right. Yep. And so speaking of that Motor Trend app, I mean, I think that's kind of a natural extension of Cletus and them. They've now got their streaming service, Cleater Vision or something like that, right? That you can subscribe to. I think it's still called that. And they live stream all their events like the Freedom 500, and they just did one of those Crown Vic races there with I think it was his wife. It was like several of the her
Oh, yeah,
friends
yeah.
and stuff like that. That one was pretty cool. But I think they stream all of that stuff on that service there, and it's interesting that they're getting to a place where they're able to do that. The networks can do it and not do it as well.
Oh, yeah. It's
Because
wild.
I had the Motor Trend app for a while, and it's kind of like we were talking about that. You binge the few things that you want to watch, and then it's like, okay, do I need this? For right now. The only time I really find myself needing sort of any kind of monthly thing is just for live stuff, like to watch the NASCAR race on Sunday, or if I want to watch
Yeah.
the NHRA stuff. And then of course when college football starts, I'm not a huge like crazy over it, but I try to watch the Dogs play on Saturdays. So it's interesting to see people able to come out with sort of their own service and provide content that people actually care about and keep it kind of fresh and regular. So
Oh
that's
yeah.
super cool. Now, if too many people do it, we end up with a whole bunch of services we want to pay for, and we're spending $300-400 a month for all these different things, and it's just not sustainable for most people. So you kind of have to pick. But
We got we dropped cable years ago and started just doing streaming services. And to be honest, Netflix still puts out some really good movies, but I think it's a little more hit and miss than it used to be.
mm-hmm.
But Netflix and then Disney Plus, you got to have Disney, especially with the kids. And then like we have Disney with Hulu, so
Yeah,
and honestly, them probably three and YouTube, and I'd be fine. And then there's a whole bunch of like free ones like Peacock and all that stuff. You gotta watch ads for, but I mean, yeah, ain't a big deal.
yeah, yeah. Most of the ones that have options for ads, I do. I don't think a whole lot about it because I mean when
Yeah,
we had cable, you were watching ad, and you were watching a ton
yeah.
of ads. You know. Um,
Honestly, sometimes, especially like with the kids, and well, I don't know. I mean, when we're watching something with ads and like the kids and all are around, it's kind of a pain in the ass because sometimes like you'll pause it and then you got to restart it and then it'll randomly start an ad and
mm-hmm.
I'll be like, where like if it was something without an ad, I can just pause it, do my thing.
Well, I got to give it
But
to HBO, the Max app. We
yeah,
turn that on for a couple of months every couple of years or whatever for when the new Game of Thrones or now it's House of the Dragon that's coming out. So Crystal and I both like to watch that one. So we'll turn it on for that, and they play. It's about a minute and a half, 2 minutes at the beginning of House of the Dragon, and then you don't get anything. There's no interruptions in between the show or during the show. And I'm perfectly fine with that because they still get the
yeah,
ad dollars. I still see the ad. I still buy the dumb product that I probably wouldn't have bought or whatever because we're humans and our brains are
right.
incredibly, you know,
I know
um,
some of the ones, I'm not sure which ones, but I've kind of done similar where it's either some at the beginning or some at the end, or maybe like the very beginning and then like a small section in the middle.
mm-hmm.
That's not too bad. But like when you get the ones, it's like you start watching and it's like after 5 minutes, I'm like, come on now.
Yeah,
Those get a little irritating.
for sure. And I've been watching. I could go on about shows and stuff all day because I was telling you earlier. When it comes to if it's song lyrics, movies, TV shows, books, games, it does not matter. I'm a story guy. I want a good story, and I've been watching The Man in the High Castle, which has been out for quite a while on Prime Video, but they do ads on there now, which is interesting because
Okay.
Prime Video has always been a benefit of having Amazon Prime. Now you get it, but there are ads. That's been an interesting switch. So I'm wondering, like, is the play that, and maybe there is. I hadn't looked. There's like a pay extra on top of your Prime to get Prime Video with no ads, and there is not enough content on Prime Video to make me pay extra for it
No.
because there are a few gems of TV shows like The Expanse, The Man in the High Castle. There's several others that I've watched on there that are really good. There's one, The Rings of Power, which is the Lord of the Rings stuff. I'll watch that even though it's bad. But there's not enough out there to be worth paying for. And at half the stuff you find on Prime Video, it's like, oh no, you got to rent this one. Yeah, to your point, like you end up you pay for all these different ones, and next thing you know, you got $200 a month worth of stuff. Now,
Yep.
if you went back to cable, you'd still end up turning some of them on because there's this show that I want to go out and see, or there's that
Yeah.
show that I want to go out and see. But you know,
Yeah. I mean, it's gone are the days where, the typical, I guess, normal cable channels is, not all the crazy shit where they started picking things out and
I had to look it up. It's not Cleater Vision now. It's FRDM Plus, which is the home of Cleater Vision. So Freedom
right.
Plus is
Okay.
their.
That's right.
But I mean, looking on it, there's a lot of good stuff on here.
Yeah.
I mean, they're constantly posting stuff, and going back to what we were talking about before, like as far as actually keeping up with YouTube and watching the stuff as it comes out. For me, a lot of times I don't ever think to sit down and just go, all right, let me run through the subscriptions that I have. If I get the notification of, you know, a podcast or something that I do keep up with a good bit and they're not super frequent, I'll generally pull them up and watch them kind of as they come out, especially if it's 10, 15 minutes or less. But if I get a
Right.
notification that somebody dropped a new video and it's an hour, hour and a half long, like I either want to commit to sit down and watch it or I'm not.
Right.
And so I end up just going, oh yeah, I'll go back to it later, and then dad duties come along and you just don't get back to it.
Yeah. So that's another thing, if I get in those situations, it's gotten to the point where, like you said, some of these YouTubers that I do follow, they'll put out 30 to 30 minute to hour and 10 minute long videos now, which is fine, but I want to sit down and commit to it. So that's when I'll go to Netflix or Hulu and I'll try to find like a 30-minute little stupid video, something to watch instead of just going to bed.
Yeah.
But I'll just play something for like, I was like, I just want to watch something for 15 to 30 minutes just to, chill.
Yeah.
And, but I don't want to commit to watching half of something or risk staying up even later than I'm already should be staying up.
Well, it's hypocritical too because I'll say that about like the YouTube stuff, but then like last night, I think I watched 4 episodes of that Man in the High Castle, and they're all 45 minutes apiece. And
Yeah.
you know, I seen a good meme a while back. It was like, "Would you like to watch a 10-hour movie?" And it's like, "No, that's insane. Why would I watch a 10-hour movie?" And it's like, "Would you like to watch 10 1-hour episodes of this miniseries we just dropped all in
Yeah.
one night?" And it's like, "Oh yeah, I think I could do that."
Man, I did that with Game of Thrones. We actually went through, never watched any of it. And then I don't remember the time. I think it was like right when the last season was airing.
Yeah,
We kind of got into it.
which was awful.
As what Yeah. And I think it was back during COVID or somewhere around that time
Yeah,
period. But I remember being out for something around Christmas time. But anyway, I just remember somehow we started watching it, and I kind of like just binge watched like every episode. But yeah, I binge watched like every episode in like 3 or 4 days. I think what it was, we were like locked down at home or whatever,
oh yeah,
and so I had anything else to do, and everybody would be in bed. I'm just keep on watching,
mm-hmm.
and I saw everyone except for the very last episode. I have not seen,
Yeah.
which everybody said was horrible.
Yeah, I mean, well, the thing is, and I've not finished the books, but I've read quite a few of them. I think I'm on like book 4 of that series, and I kind of like the way I watch YouTube. Right, I go through phases of like, oh, I read a lot of like books and stuff, and then I watch it. You know, I'll watch more like shows, and then I'll be more watching YouTube and things like that. But so I've read a good bit of the books, and they just there's obviously going to be some departure from the original story that George R. R. Martin wrote, but they just took you could tell that last season was like the writers and producers were ready to move on to something else. Let's wrap this stuff up. And it was all so like, there's so many plot holes in it and stuff that it was bad.
Yeah,
House of the Dragon's really good. We're enjoying that so far. But,
it's sweet.
but yeah. And you know, we have on our list here YouTube famous. And I mean, you know, I can't think of anybody other than, you got your Mr. Beasts and all that. But in the car stuff,
Yeah,
like Cletus, you know, going back to him, like he's one of the
they're
most
big.
famous, you know, car YouTubers I can think of.
Well, like pretty much anybody from 1320 video.
Right, which is where he started, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I remember you were talking about when YouTube first started. I had a 2001 Bullet Edition Mustang. You know, had the 5 speed in it and 4.6. It was a fun car, and I had just put a Bassani X pipe on there, and I took it to the exhaust shop to get the exhaust done. And you know, at the time I had Flowmasters on the Firebirds. I was like, just put a Flowmaster on it, and the guy was like, "Look, you don't want a Flowmaster." He goes, "I got these. They were Mac Flow Path mufflers." And I was like, "Okay." He said, "They're a lot like Flowmasters, but they sound better. They flow better." I was like, "All right, whatever, man. I trust you." And so he put them on there, and I love like the car sounded great. Dad loved it. He always talking about how just, you know, rowdy it sounded when you got on it, but then it wasn't crazy just like at idle or whatever.
Right.
And so I made a video in the install bay at Circuit City. I cranked it up. I had a little Kodak camera at the time. I sat the thing in a chair by the door and just backed the car past the camera, then drove past it so you kind of hear it just at regular driving. And then I turned around and I just nailed it and like fly by the camera, and then you can hear it as I turn around and come back. And then I pull it in the shop. And for whatever reason, and well, I know the reason, but that video had over 10,000 views on it. And at the
Wow.
time when I discovered that it had 10,000 views, literally the criteria to be monetized on YouTube was to have a video with at least 10,000 views. So I was like, heck yeah. So I'd like turned on monetization and I was like, cool, I'm going to start making more videos. And I swear it was like 2 months later that they changed it to where you had to have 1,000 subscribers and all this other stuff.
Right.
My dreams of YouTube fame were ripped away from me almost immediately.
Yeah. I remember having some of those that were like that too. And I'm like, all right. And then like after a while, I'm like, well, everything changed. What the hell?
Hmm.
Yeah.
And you know the reason that video did well was people were using it for the exact same reasons that I was. I would go, I wonder
Yeah.
what that muffler would sound like on my car, and
Right.
I'd go search for my type of car, my engine or whatever, right? And you know Bassani X pipe, and then I would listen to cars that had the Bassani X pipes, and that was just that was how you comparison shopped exhaust.
So I've got one on my YouTube. It was just a driving video of inside my Trans Am. I'm gonna have to look it up now. We could probably put a link for it. It got a ton of view, and like I said, it's just cruising inside the car. Yeah, 93,000 views,
Oh wow.
and it's just driving inside the car. And I know I was looking through it one time, and it was telling me stuff about it. And one thing is, it's like a really good, POV driving. So, and which it is, like you see like the T tops and you can see everything,
Mm-hmm.
rolling the gears, and all it is just like me leaving my house, cruising through town. It's like 9 minutes is just me cruising through town, and then I get near the end of the video, and then like I bang the gear like 1, 2, 3 shift or whatever, and then
Mm-hmm.
that's like
It's
it.
it's crazy what people will enjoy, but at the end of the day, it's about what's relatable, right? And just
Right,
kind of videos that resonate with people. That
right.
or if it's something they're shopping for, right? It's funny because the next closest video I've got it's only 4,200 views. I randomly, and this was around the time I think that I realized I could monetize the channel. So I had gotten a new smoker and I was like, all right, I'm gonna make some ribs. And I in the description was the name of the type of smoker or whatever. And I guess for whatever reason that video was getting served up when people were searching for that smoker and wanted to get information about it. And I was like, this is an incredibly uninformative video of me putting ribs in this smoker and probably doing it poorly as well. A lot of wind noise in the camera, but you just never know what's going to be the thing that catches on.
Oh, I know. It's pretty wild. I mean, and like just from what I've heard anymore, that it's just kind of like YouTube, you just kind of throw shit at it and see what sticks anymore.
Yeah. Well, and
And I mean, like I said, any video I've really put out there has always just been me put shit out there, or like, people act like I've said before, I like exhaust builds. So like I like documenting how things sound, different levels, whatever. And I just think it's, you know, interesting for me.
yeah.
So, um, I've got a lot of videos that's out there like of that, different setups, like the my Caprice that had some videos that have done well. But I mean,
Well, the thing is, there's a lot of people in the world. If it's interesting to you in any
mhm,
capacity, it'll probably be interesting to somebody else.
yeah,
And that's the thing is, a lot of times I'll overthink something like, oh, I want to make a video about this or like that, and I get in my head about, well, I want to make sure this is right or that's right. And a lot of times it's just get something out there, and
well, I will say, I don't know if we was on the, forgive me because I can't remember if it was on one of our previous episodes, but I know me and you talked about it a little bit about how like, doing all this recording, YouTube and all that, it's stuff that can be left for your family or whatever to, listen or watch.
hmm
I have found many times where my kids will be just watching my YouTube videos off my channel.
yeah,
and like from their guest account. So like they'll like subscribe to my stuff and just watch my stuff.
Yeah.
Or I've been gone downstairs now and my 10-year-old's down there watching our podcast channel.
Nice.
So
No, that's awesome,
I'm
man.
like, yeah. And I'm like, some of the views I have on some of my stuff, I'm like, I know a lot of those are probably my kids, but
Hey, we'll take them where we
yeah.
can get them.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, that's I don't know. It's not the Wild West, but it feels like the Wild West. And
It
anybody
does.
that claims to like you can understand it and how the algorithms work and stuff, but I mean, there's no like guarantees. I've
Yep.
definitely learned that.
Oh yeah.
All right, well, we I think the last thing up we've got well no I'm gonna cut that for a second. The other thing we had on the list here, we hadn't really touched on it, is sort of how social media really has changed the car community and the car world, and not so much racing. I mean, it has, right? But you know, we went from the evolution being the forum days. You mentioned that earlier, and that like you go, okay, I got this new combo on my car. Here's what it sounds like. Here's what it's like driving inside the car with it, and then just sort of putting that stuff out on YouTube. And but it all comes back to forum posts. If somebody had a question, you would
Yep.
post a question, and if it was kind of like, I've got my car tore apart, what do I do? You'd post it and sit there and keep refreshing, hoping somebody happened to be on at the same time. It's totally different now with with Facebook. You've got a much larger audience,
Right.
or audience, but number of people in the group who might answer, and you tend to get answers really quickly. And but like, I just
Not all answers are good answers.
this is true, and that's where the Mullet Militia group was born out of, right? But at the end of the day, like, maybe it's old man nostalgia, but I miss the forum days.
I do too.
They were great.
Oh yeah. And there, I want to say the last couple that I was more active in. I mean, I'll hop on third gen. There was a while there that it was still like at least once a week I'd be on third gen looking up something.
Yeah.
But it could be because I'm a little bit estranged from my Trans Am right now. Like I really haven't messed with it as much for a while.
Right.
But maybe that's part of it. Was it LS1 Tech and LS1truck.com. I really liked LS1truck.com. I remember years ago Matt reaching out to me and he was asking about some good groups for those GMT 800s. And I was like, here,
Yeah.
go to LS1 Truck. And I remember he went on there and was asked something, and they like that group was full of trolls. That most of the guys were based out of Texas and Oklahoma,
Mm.
and but most of them guys were trolls. And Matt went on there and asked a question, and they just kind of hammered at him. I just remember him being like, "Those guys." I was
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, I get it." And after a while, I ended up playing swap gamer tags and would play Xbox with a couple of these guys too.
Mm-hmm.
We'd get on there and play. But no, I used to, that was a good form. And then I've hopped on there a couple times in the last couple years just to see, and like, there's nobody on there that I recognize. Or and it's not, you get questions will be asked, and then you hear nothing.
Yeah.
And I did sign up for the new Caprice forum, and I had to make a post or whatever, and I think that's the last time I got on there. And something happened with the site, and it went down, and I don't know if it's back up or not.
Yeah.
I'm a bad forum guy.
I guess the only other thing I'll say about that is I've definitely toyed with the idea of what would a new iteration of like car forums, or something for car groups, be if
Right.
it wasn't like Facebook groups and whatnot. And it's funny too, because there was there was essentially like social media for your car. I don't know if you had one. I had a car domain page for my Firebird, and that was I mean, it was literally like MySpace or Facebook for your
Yeah.
car. And that was a pretty neat little community. But I'd be curious if somebody came up with something automotive related that was an app for people with similar cars or something. But I mean, really, you just be talking about the next iteration of car domain.
You know what that thing that Steve's on? Grinder?
Oh yeah, yeah. I think that's it. That sounds like is that why he was trying to get us to sign up?
Probably.
Maybe
Something
so.
about he said, I don't know, grinding gears or I don't know.
Yeah. Oh man. All right. Well,
Uh,
I've got the list pulled up here because I did promise everybody we'd talk about what the top 9 songs were from the Top Gear, um,
mhm.
driving songs. But then I think I know I've got my list here of ones that I'm curious to see if anybody agrees with, and then we'll call it for today. But let me get back to my list here, and us talking about bands and stuff. I think I mentioned to you that there was an episode of the British Top Gear that had Alice. Oh, geez.
Alice Cooper.
Why I couldn't come up with his last name there? But yeah, there was an episode of the British Top Gear that did have Alice Cooper on it. He went and his lap time wasn't great, but his interview was really good. So that was.
Oh, I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
He's a performer.
Oh yeah, it was very good. Let's see. So on the list of the greatest driving songs, right? So I mentioned last time, that Kevin would be a little disappointed because Danger Zone didn't make the number one. Couldn't believe that Bohemian Rhapsody and Freebird were low on the list. But the top 9 are very good. Number 9 was Queens of the Stone Age, Go With the Flow. Good song. Okay. 8 was Fleetwood Mac, The Chain, which I could listen to Fleetwood Mac all the time. Love Fleetwood Mac. 7 was, surprisingly, this one wasn't higher in my opinion, is AC/DC, Highway to Hell.
Okay.
6 is Motorhead, Ace of Spades. Great song.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So top 5. All right, you ready?
Okay.
Deep Purple, Highway Star.
All right.
Steppenwolf, Born to Be Wild.
All right.
Meatloaf, Bad Out of Hell. I mean, the title gives that one, right?
Yeah.
All right. Number 2, honestly, out of these, it probably would have been my top one, is Golden Earring, Radar Love.
Oh, yeah.
Quality driving song, for sure.
Yeah.
But number 1, you want to take any guess at what band it was? Queen.
Yeah.
Guesses on the song?
Bohemian Rhapsody.
No, that one was way down the list, unfortunately.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, they were Bohemian Rhapsody. Where did it land?
That's right.
Number 15. Yeah.
My
So number 1, Queen. Don't Stop Me Now.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. I could see that.
I get it, and I mean I think they did viewer voting and all that too. So I mean it was and
Okay.
bear in mind this list was in 2007.
Oh,
But I love the old hair bands and rock stuff. So have you got a list as well?
What do you think? Let's do like a top 3.
I'm good with that. I got 5 here, but I'll give my other 2 because they're a little more modern songs that maybe some people will know, some won't. So a local guy to us goes by Demon Jones. He's got a song called Feeling Good, right? And I had to put him on the list. He's a local guy to Jones County, just like me. Great guy. Awesome song for just cruising around on. And he's actually coming. He's got a concert here in October that we've got tickets to with Brantley Gilbert. And Brantley Gilbert has got a song, Hell on Wheels. And that song is like, you can't not speed and listen to that song. I mean, it's about running moonshine. I mean, it's a great song.
Yeah.
So that one's up there with, I always think about Copperhead Road when I listen to that song. So those are the, would be number 4 and number 5 for me, but in more, not classic, I guess classic songs that I would say are really great for driving. I've got a top 3 if you want to give your number 3.
I think for me, number 3 would be Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah. Quality song.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think I sent you a Snapchat the night we bought Crystal's Durango, singing that in the Durango on the way home from picking it up.
Yeah.
Yep, that's a good one. My number 3, I've got Metallica, Through the Never.
Okay.
We talked about this off camera a little bit, trying to pick one song from the Black Album. Like it's pretty much the whole thing, but but Through the Never for driving, it's a good one.
Oh yeah.
What you got next?
I'll say Home Sweet Home, Motley Crue.
Oh, that's good. I love Motley Crue.
Oh yeah.
So I put this one as number 2. It's another one of those, like, you have to speed when you listen to it, but it was a tough decision, and I'll explain why it wasn't number 1. But Rob Zombie, Dragula, had to make the list, and it is at number 2.
Hell yeah.
So, all right. What you got for number 1?
Eastbound and Down.
Oh, man. I should have known. I don't know why I didn't think about that one, but that's, I get it. Well, kind of the same vein. So not a crazy heavy song, right? And not really one I'm always going to
Right.
speed to. But for me, even though Eastbound and Down is a classic song, especially driving a Trans Am, right? I just have so many memories from high school driving the '86 Trans Am, T tops out with Van Halen playing that I had to have a
Oh
Van
yeah.
Halen song at
Yeah.
number one. And I couldn't come up with anything that didn't just where Panama just didn't right at the
Oh
top
yeah.
of mine. So number one would be Van Halen's Panama. But damn, Eastbound and Down is good. That's a good one.
That so we could go on about that forever, but I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
like a kid, I'd ride around with my dad and we listen to a lot of music. I mean, we would listen to a lot of like Van Halen, Def Leppard, I mean, Styx,
Yep.
all that.
Rush.
I mean, we would just, oh yeah. Well, and then like some of the older Michael Jackson stuff,
Mhm.
and we would just all that. And I'm like, that's all in all my driving lists. I mean, there's just so much. And then even like lately, I've got really into listening to Young Gravy, and I'll be
Okay.
riding, and I'll be just be bopping along,
Told Young Gravy.
just I'll feel good.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Nice. Well, good
Or
deal.
yeah, so I got some really off the wall stuff.
Well, like it was hard not to have some Rush on here and
Oh yeah.
um, System of a Down, right? Like I
Oh
had
yeah.
the Mesmerize album and then I had Toxicity. I loved both of those albums when they came out. Linkin Park was huge. I listened to a lot of Linkin Park and even Three Doors. Like I listened to a lot of Three Doors Down back in high school. So yeah, a lot of those are up there. These are it was kind of tough to narrow down the list. I'd almost have to break it out kind of by genre to really
Genres.
talk about all the
Yeah.
songs that I love. But
Or or like what I have going on right now.
oh, absolutely, yeah. The mood is important because there's a lot of times where it's it's old '90s country. A
Or
lot of Brooks and Dunn played in my truck.
yeah. I don't know, or if I roll into a whole lot of new metal for a while and early 2000s Eminem,
Yeah. Yep.
I'm in a bad place probably.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, some of that real dark stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You got to sometimes.
Yeah.
But well, good deal. Well, I think we'll wrap it up there for today. I know the plan right now. I don't know if we will necessarily have an episode out a week from when this one drops, because for episode 10 we are going to have somebody on with us, so you don't have to listen to just us chatter on for a while. So next time I think we're going to have our guest with us. I think Ross is going to be on with us. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll work on setting that up. We may have to work out some logistics. Hopefully, we'll get that recorded this weekend, and we will have it by next week. If we don't, maybe 2 weeks while we work out logistics of having guests. But once we figure that out, the great thing is I think we'll be able to do that more frequently, and that's going to be really awesome because we've had a lot of great people say they wanted to come on and just chat with us, and I think that's killer. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think it'll be a real good time.
Good deal. Well, we talked a lot about listening to those subscriptions and how I'm bad about not doing it. But one thing I do every week is make sure to listen to the High Octane Dads podcast when that notification hits my phone. So make sure
Yeah.
that you do that for us this week, and yeah, we'll see y'all in
Ding.
the next one. Yeah, yeah, hit the little bell, right? I always feel so cheesy if I say that, but it's true, man. I mean, the best
Yeah.
way to support is just to share the videos and make sure that you like them and get notified and click on them because it helps the algorithm know what to promote and whether we're actually producing any meaningful or good content. So
And like a meme I saw floating around today, just go and share all your friends' businesses and stuff.
yeah.
I mean, click and share, as a bunch of you may have gotten from me today.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've done it a few times as well. And the other thing too, I think that's important is if there's anything that could make the podcast, the videos more engaging to make it more interesting to listen to or watch, head over to the Facebook page. We'll post asking for feedback, things like that, or leave a comment here on YouTube. We want to make it the best that we can because we want to keep doing it. And if it gets boring or repetitive, people won't listen. So give us all your feedback. We want to make it the best that it can be. And if you got positive feedback, we love hearing that too.
Yeah, and that could be us sounding like hillbillies, saying the
Not a lot
same
I can do
words
about
over and
that.
over again. Yeah, a lot of ums and pauses, which we try to edit some of those out. Or I mean, if you'd rather see us more active on other ways, also, is that engaging to see a little more few more reels here and there, or TikToks, or just more Facebook posts of what we're got going on, let us know.
And we got to pick a night and do the live, even if we do it on Facebook or YouTube or something, and just like have it live where people in the chat can just talk directly
Yeah.
to us, ask questions. I think that'd be a lot of fun. It's just a time commitment. We gotta sit down and figure out a time to do it,
Yeah.
and
We
figure
both
out.
with that lately.
Yeah, yeah. It's been well. I mentioned earlier my kids go back to school tomorrow, so
Yeah.
I'm literally getting off here and going and tucking kids in, and we got
Sounds
everything
good.
prepared as much as we can. So I got a junior and a senior in high school this year, so and then one still in
I'll have a
elementary. So
Yeah, I got a junior, fifth grader, and a preschooler.
get your hands full there, brother.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll call it here, and we'll pick up next week.
All righty.
All right. Have a good evening, folks.
See ya.